Hello everyone, this video is about infective endocarditis. I have covered all important points which will help you in theory exam as well as in MCQ exams like NEET PG or upcoming next and USMLE. At the end of this video, I have also added important MCQs. So do watch the video up till the end. First of all, what is definition of infective endocarditis? It is infection of valvular endocardium or intracardiac devices by microbes, as you can see in this figure. Now coming to etiology, so before developing infective endocarditis, there should be some injury to valvular endothelium, or we can say there should be first hit or predisposing factor. And this injury can be either congenital, rheumatic, degenerative, or due to IV drug abuse. As you can see, most common valve involved in rheumatic etiology is mitral valve followed by aortic valve. And IV drug abuse involves tricuspid valve and causes right-sided infective endocarditis. So what will happen next? This injured valve will act as foci for fibrin platelet aggregate, and this is known as non-bacterial thrombotic endocarditis (NBTE). So what will happen further? If there is bacteremia in presence of this injured valve, the causes of bacteremia we will see in next slides. It will cause transient bacterial seeding, which will cause bacterial adhesion onto the platelet fibrin microthrombi, and this is known as vegetation. So there is formation of vegetation. And the causes of bacteremia may include dental procedures, respiratory tract procedures, traumatic, or procedures involving mucosal erosions. So this is the summary of pathogenesis we discussed. There should be some endothelial injury which will cause fibrin platelet clot, which will in turn cause NBT, that is non-bacterial thrombotic endocarditis, which in presence of bacteremia causes bacterial adherence and formation of vegetation. So what is the classification of infective endocarditis? It is classified according to clinical course, which can be acute, subacute, or chronic. Then according to causative organisms, which can be bacterial, viral, or fungal. Then according to nature of valve, which can be native or prosthetic valve. And according to side affected, that is right-sided and left-sided infective endocarditis. So what are the organisms involved in different kinds of endocarditis? First of all, in native valve endocarditis, most common organism without any doubt is Streptococci, followed by Aureus and Enterococci. Then in prosthetic valve endocarditis, within 12 months of surgery, most common cause is cons, that is coagulous negative staph, followed by staph aureus and enterococci. But after 12 months, it behaves as native valve, that is strep followed by staph aureus followed by enterococci. In case of IV drug abuse, most common cause is staph aureus. And in CIEDs, that is electronic device endocarditis, most common cause is again cons followed by staph aureus. And it can also be caused by rare organisms like Hackett group or Coxiella burnetii. So what are the clinical features? First of all, acute infective endocarditis. It is associated with very high mortality, and presentation can be acute febrile illness with complete valvular destruction, and patient may present with sepsis or in septic shock. So there can be caudal rupture or patient may present with pulmonary edema, and source of infection will be commonly present like abscess or osteomyelitis, which is causing infective endocarditis and valvular destruction. It is usually caused by aureus, pseudomonas or candida. Then subacute infective endocarditis. It presents with fever for 2 to 3 weeks along with associated symptoms like anorexia, malaise, chills, etc. There can be presence of clubbing or splenomegaly, but it is very late and presents in only 20% of cases. So what are the clues or when can you suspect the patient is having infective endocarditis? When there is new onset valve lesion, that is new regurgitation or change in existing murmur or development of new murmur. Or there is feature of arterial embolization, example stroke, endophthalmitis, coronary syndromes or renal infarct. Or there is feature of microembolization, that is petechial or splinter hemorrhages. As I discussed, there can be petechiae, which is seen in palpebral conjunctiva and also can be seen in buccal or palatal mucosa. The next is subungual or splinter hemorrhages. These are dark red, linear or flame-shaped streaks in proximal nail bed, as you can see in this figure. The next is Osler's node. It is tender erythematous node in the pulp of finger. In Janovis lesion, it is erythematous non-tender nodule on the palms or soles. The important point to remember is Osler's node are tender and Janovis lesions are non-tender. You can remember Ostlers is equal to ouch. Next is Roth spot. It is circular retinal hemorrhages with white or pale center, as you can see in this figure. Next is membranoproliferative glomerulonephritis. It is due to deposition of antigen antibody complexes in glomeruli. So patient may have macroscopic hematuria or proteinuria. So the important point about these manifestations are Janave lesion is only lesion which is due to septic microembolization. So culture can be positive from the lesion, whereas Osler's node, Roth spot, and MPGN are not due to septic microemboli. They are due to localized immune complex deposition or vasculitis. Therefore, it is seen in subacute or protected course, not in acute infective endocarditis. Now coming to investigations. It is diagnosed with the help of universally accepted modified Duke criteria. This table is taken from Harrison. So this is the summary of modified Duke's criteria. It includes major and minor criteria. The major criteria includes positive blood culture, which is typical microorganisms in two different samples. Atypical organisms which are persistently positive after 18 to 24 hours. Or Coxiella burnetii, which has single positive culture or IgG antibody detection. Remember friends, Coxiella burnetii is single exception where single positive culture is considered as major criteria. Then echocardiographic evidence of vegetations, abscess, new onset valvular regurgitation, or partial dehiscence of the prosthetic valve. And the minor criteria includes predisposition factors or predisposing heart conditions or IV drug abuse, fever more than 38 degrees Celsius, then vascular phenomena like Janave lesion or hemorrhage, then immunologic phenomena like Roth spot, MPGN, etc. And last is microbiologic evidence but not meeting major criteria. So when can you say there is definitive infective endocarditis? When there is presence of two major or one major plus three minor or five minor criteria. We can say it is definite endocarditis. When there is one major and one minor or three minor, it is called as possible endocarditis. How investigations are done? First of all, blood culture. At least three sets of blood samples should be taken from different venipuncture sites over 24 hours before commencing therapy. Both aerobic and anaerobic cultures are needed. Then serological test. It is useful if there is suspicion of diagnosis and culture are negative. It may be due to organisms which are not grown in cultures, such as Coxiella, Bordetella, Legionella, and Chlamydia. Then coming to echocardiography. It is used to detect vegetations, assess valve damage, or detect intracardiac complication. There are two types of echocardiography, transthoracic and transesophageal. The sensitivity of transesophageal is more. So there are specific indications for transesophageal echocardiography, which are prosthetic valve endocarditis, cardiac implantable electronic devices, perivalvular myocardial abscess, valvular perforation when vegetation is less than 2 mm, or intracardiac fistula. So these are the indications of transesophageal echocardiography according to Harrison. Now coming to management part. If it is caused by Streptococcus viridans, it is treated with penicillin G for 4 weeks or ceftriaxone for 4 weeks. Remember friends, penicillin G with or without gentamicin for 2 weeks is given for 6 weeks for prosthetic valve endocarditis caused by streptococci. Next is management of endocarditis caused by enterococci. It is treated with penicillin G plus gentamicin for 4 to 6 weeks or ampicillin plus gentamicin for 4 to 6 weeks. But if there is penicillin allergy or resistance, vancomycin plus gentamicin is used for 6 weeks. Remember friends, here we are using gentamicin also for 6 weeks. Now in case of methicillin sensitive Staph aureus, for native wall endocarditis, we'll use nafcillin, oxacillin or fluoxacillin for 6 weeks or cefazolin 2 gram IV for 4 to 6 weeks. In case of prosthetic wall endocarditis, we'll use nafcillin, oxacillin or fluoxacillin plus gentamicin for 2 weeks plus rifampin for 6 to 8 weeks. Here we are using gentamicin for 2 weeks only and other two drugs for 6 to 8 weeks. Now coming to methicillin resistant Staph aureus. For native valve, we use vancomycin for 4 to 6 weeks. And for prosthetic valve, we have to use vancomycin plus gentamicin plus rifampicin. Again here, gentamicin is only used for 2 weeks. And other two drugs for 6 to 8 weeks. Now for archaic organism, we use ceftriaxone for 4 weeks. And for coxella banditi, we use combination of doxycycline plus hydroxychloroquine, both for at least 8 months for native valve or 24 months for prosthetic valve. So this was about management part. Now what is culture negative endocarditis? It is defined as endocarditis without etiology following inoculation of 3 blood samples in standard blood culture system. Example, negative cultures even after 7 days of inoculation. There are many reasons behind this that are administration of antimicrobial agents prior to blood culture or inadequate techniques or infection of highly fastidious organism like fungi. So in this condition, empirical treatment can be started with vancomycin plus gentamicin for 4 to 6 weeks. Now what is non-infective endocarditis? It is characterized by formation of sterile platelet and fibrillary thrombi on cardiac valve. It develops in response to trauma or circulating immune complexes, vasculitis, or a hypercoagulable state. Symptoms are due to systemic arterial embolization. Next is mesenteric endocarditis. It is also known as non-bacterial thrombotic endocarditis, that is NBTE. It is encountered in patients with cancer or sepsis, hence previously known as mesenteric. The root word meresmus means related to malnutrition. It develops in patients with DVT, pulmonary embolism, underlying systemic hypercoagulable states, and malignancy. And its treatment includes systemic anticoagulant therapy and treatment of underlying malignancy or associated conditions. Next is Libman-Sack endocarditis, also known as verrucous endocarditis. It is characteristic manifestation of autoimmune disease such as SLE. It is produced due to circulating immune complexes. So these are the pattern of vegetations in different kind of endocarditis. First of all, in bacterial endocarditis, vegetations will be large, bulky, with irregular masses on the wall cups or mural endocardium. As it is bacterial, so it is non-sterile, and most common complication is embolization. Second is NBTE or mesenteric endocarditis. It is as it is non-bacterial, it is sterile endocarditis, and vegetations are small, bland vegetations attached with the line of closure. And last is Libman-Sack endocarditis, as is seen in SLE. It is medium-sized vegetations present in both the sides of the valve. It is mostly on the lower surface, and it is also sterile endocarditis because it is due to immune complex deposition. So, what are the indications of surgery in case of infective endocarditis? When there is presentation as acute MR or AR with heart failure, when it is due to fungal endocarditis, when there is rupture of abscess or destroying lesion, when there is perivalvular leak, or when the size of vegetation is more than 5 cm. And last obvious reason is it is not responding to the standard treatment. So, what are the prophylaxis for infective endocarditis? It is one of the most common asked question in any exam. So, which are the patients which require prophylaxis? The patient who have prosthetic valve, patient who have prior infective endocarditis. In repaired valve, prophylaxis is given 6 months post repair, and in unrepaired patient only in cyanotic heart disease. So, what are the procedures which require prophylaxis? First of all, dental procedures, which includes extraction, periodontal procedures, and implant procedures, etc. An invasive procedure in respiratory mucosa, example tonsillectomy or adenodectomy. So, drug use for prophylaxis. The standard drug used is 2 gram amoxicillin per oral single dose 30 to 60 minutes before procedure. But if there is penicillin allergy, we can use clarithromycin, cephalexin, or clindamycin. When there is penicillin allergy and patient is not able to take orally, cefazolin or clindamycin can be used parenterally. So this comes to an end of the lecture. Now we will discuss some MCQs. The first question is, infective endocarditis is most commonly seen in which condition? So the options are atrial septal defect, ventricular septal defect, patent ductus arteriosus, and pulmonary stenosis. So answer here is B, that is ventricular septal defect. The reason being, infective endocarditis are based on the pressure gradient. In adult, it is most commonly seen in mitral regurgitation, while in children in VSD, because pressure gradient is more in these conditions. And also remember friends, infective endocarditis is least common seen in ASD, that is atrial septal defect, because velocity of shunt is low due to decreased pressure gradient between two atria. Next question is, a patient with prosthetic heart valve develops endocarditis 8 months after surgery. The most likely organism is, this we already discussed friends, Most common organism in prosthetic valve endocarditis before 12 months is cons. But the confusion point here, the cons is not directly given in the option. You have to remember, cons includes Staphylococcus epidermidis and other coagulous negative types. So this type of questions will test your medicine as well as microbiology knowledge. Next question is, which of the following is not included in minor criteria of modified Dukes for infective endocarditis? As we discussed, predisposing heart conditions or IV drug abuse, it is in the criteria. Fever is there in the criteria. Microbiologic evidence but not meeting major criteria, it is also there in the criteria. But last option, positive echocardiography, not meeting major criteria, is not there in the criteria. It is wrong option but correct answer for this MCQ. So answer is D, positive echocardiogram evidence not meeting major criteria. It was earlier there in the minor criteria, but now it is removed. So friends, this was all about the video. I recommend you to read this topic from standard textbook and also practice MCQs. Do like and subscribe our channel and also share it among your friends. Thank you.